everything about that was right. It was the right producer in the right studio with the right song that we had written with the right players. Everything about it was just perfect. And, it's just one of those things.
Now, obviously, it didn't sound this good when you guys are kind of messing around, getting it going, getting the song going. Like all these things were produced, right? It was much more simple.
It was produced by Arif Mardin, one of the world's great producers, one of the greatest producers of all time. That's Bernard Purdie playing drums, one of the, probably one of the greatest R&B drummers of all time. It's just, like I said, it was the perfect storm. It was the right people, the right circumstance, and we had written the right song.
And at first it was just your guitars and singing the song. That's it.
Well, when we wrote it, it was, I was playing acoustic guitar and Daryl was playing electric piano. And that's how we wrote it. We wrote it in about an hour and a half.
You wrote that song in an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. If that. I had gotten stood up on a date for New Year's Eve. And so while I was sitting in the apartment by myself, I just picked up the guitar and I thought, well, she's not coming. She's never coming. And I said, well, she's gone. And I started doing this like folky, like Cat Stevens kind of thing. And it was like, she's gone. And I was kind of messing around with that for a while. And then the next day, Daryl came back to the house, to the apartment, because we were sharing an apartment. And I played it for him. And he sat down at the piano. And he said, oh, that's cool. And he started going, boom, boom, dun, 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 which is the piano riff that you hear at the beginning of the song. And we just wrote it. And we just looked around the apartment. And I remember, like, in the course of writing, just walking into the bathroom and then it was toothbrush all,
hanging on the stand or whatever.
Yeah, it's all, frayed. And, I probably was using the same toothbrush for 4 years or something. But, and it was just that, just taking these, snapshots of life, of loss and loneliness, and just putting it together the right way,
And so you go back and forth like you did on numerous songs where you'd come up with a little line and you go, how about this? And you just go back and forth with like different lines.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't remember, who came up with it, but it really doesn't matter at this point. But that line, everybody's high on consolation. That's like, you think about that line, that's a really good line, and that was the kickoff. Once that line, that's the beginning of the song, it was like, okay, now we know what this is about. Let's go. And, we just wrote it.
You know what else could have worked? Because I always used to mess up the lines when I'd sing it. Everybody's high on constellation.
Oh, I know. And that's what everybody thought it was, of course.
Of course, like astrology.
just like, that was, well, we were hippies. So, maybe astrology thing could have worked, but constellation's way better.
Constellation's way better.
But, just like people think it's kiss on my lips, it's kiss on my list. It's not, your kiss is not on my lips. Your kiss is on a list of the best things in life. It doesn't necessarily, it is the best thing.
I love that you're talking about this because it's like stuff that I'm like, I grew up on. I'm like, how did all this happen? Because I have a band and I had a band and we sold about 80 million records less than you guys sold. So
nice setup. That's a good one.
And I know that it was very difficult for me. We just always, I don't know any band that hasn't gotten in fights, hasn't gotten like, no, this is cooler. No, this is cooler. And it would get, some of these fights were explosive. Like I'd be like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my house. I fucking don't, and this was a band that was nothing. So I can't imagine the pressures and your guys are making money and you're writing songs together. There's egos and I don't know how you lasted as long as you did because I don't know one band. I was watching the Beatles documentary, and then one day, what's his name? George Harrison just goes, okay, well, I think I'm going to quit the band now.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, well, that wasn't a good career choice, but but he did just fine. George did just fine. Now, I think Daryl and I both are very non-confrontational people, and we would rather, kind of just go our separate ways and just let things simmer down and then figure out a way around it. It's really amazing that we've been able to stay together this long.
Yeah.